Okay, so like I said, we have one day before you guys go to Eilat. So this is a sugya that sort of comes up, not explicitly in the Gemara, though it sort of comes in and out. There is this, as we've seen many times in many of the halacha. The halacha takes very seriously the notion that seeing the tzitzit is important. That is the source for either day versus night or ksut yom versus ksut layla, because you have to see it. Sure. And its remembering functions are important. Maybe you need kavana, things like that. But one of the things that appears already in the Rishonim is the possibility that actually looking at them is not just a fulfillment of the philosophical purpose of the tzitzit, but it is either a mitzvah in and of itself, independent of wearing them, or at least a kiyum in wearing them, and specifically there is a value to looking at them. Not just, that's why you wear tzitzit, so you happen to see them. There's a mitzvah to see them. So I want to outline the shitot who believe this, and what I want to do, sort of wrap a few things up, is note the ways in which these positions lead to the minhagim that we have during Kriyat Shema, or the different minhagim, gathering your tzitzis, looking at your tzitzis, kissing your tzitzis. These are all sort of related things that are discussed in this context. And I also want to deal briefly, hopefully, with the question of whether you should dafka wear your tzitzis out or in, which is a function of this, right? How important is it to actually wear your tzitzis in a way that it will remind you of the mitzvah? So if you look at number one here, the smak, the mitzvah kadan, right? That there is a mitzvah, right? It's counted as a separate mitzvah, l'hitzakel b'tzitzit. So distinct from the mitzvah of making, wearing tzitzit and the like, there is an independent mitzvah for him of looking at the tzitzit. And if you look at the Marami Rutenberg in number 2, he writes, when you get to the phrase in Kriyat Shema, you're supposed to put the tzitzit by your eyes, look at them, to fulfill ritem, which is counted as a separate mitzvah, I don't know, but he clearly thinks that there is a halachic value called uritemot, of actually looking, and he makes the transition and says, and therefore we do it during Kriyat Shema when we read the words to fulfill that halachic value. Again, does he think it's an independent mitzvah like the smak? I don't know, but he clearly thinks there's an active value of looking at your tzitzit. The Rivush was asked about this in number 3, and he writes, and this is quoted in the all these are quoted in the Beit Yosef. Maybe not the Ram Rutenberg. He said, you have the custom to look at your 4 tzitzit b'shat Kriyat Shema. When you read Shema, when you come to the uritemota, when you get to the phrase, and you shall see them. The Rav Rabbeinu Yonah Zal, because you saw that this was what Rabbeinu Yonah wrote in the Sefer HaYirah. V'chein v'sefer Amudei Gola, Moneh mitzvah la'atzma, and what do they say for Amudei Gola? The smak, right? He means the smak. There's the same, right? Another name for it. Moneh mitzvah la'atzma listakel b'tzitzit. V'amarta, and you said ki yesh lo agim alecha bazeh. You said that there are some people who make fun of you. And they support themselves from the fact that Rav Nachshunai Gaon says that you should not do this. I probably should put this in order, but if you skip for a moment to what he's quoting, it's number 10. This is the Tshuva of Rav Nachshunai Gaon, who says, you asked, are you supposed to hold on to your tzitzit during Kriyat Shema? So this is not what wise people do. It's superfluous. And once you paid attention to your tzitzit, when you put them on and you made a bracha, so afterwards, why should you bother holding them in your hands? He said, according to that logic, when you get to the phrase about tefillin, you should grab your tefillin, and he says, maybe you'll say, hey, great idea, right? Grab your tefillin. So he'll say, when you get to uchtavtem by mezuzah, you should go home, and then put your hand On the mezuzah, right? Yesh gvul kacha osakein tzarich lalamdo lasbiro shelo yaseh. And therefore, you should teach people not to do this. So the Rivash was asked about this, and he said, some people make fun of you for holding your tzitzit, looking at your tzitzit during Shema, because they point to Rav Nitro Noigon, who indeed was opposed to it. And make fun of it with this statement that he says, when you get home, you should put your hand on your mezuzah, etc. So tshuva. So the Rivash says, I disagree with the Amudei Agola. I disagree with the Smak. Looking at tzitzit is not its own mitzvah. It's not. Ki ein nir'eh or zeg nitanan litzvazo. Kemoshe amru zal ritemoto. Sorry, he says this is just ritemoto is just a philosophy, but it's not the mitzvah itself. And again, this is something we've talked about a lot: is how much is the what and the why connected. So he says, I admit that the why of tzitzit is that we want you to look at the tzitzit, remember the mitzvah, v'chulei v'chulei. That doesn't mean there's an active mitzvah to look at them, right? Obviously, this is the end goal. But we don't normally count the philosophy as a mitzvah itself. So therefore he says, no one besides the Smak thought that it was a separate mitzvah. But he says, I disagree that it's an extra mitzvah like the Smak. But if you're going to ask me if it's valuable, what will I say? For sure, because everyone agrees with the philosophy of the mitzvah. So it is the purpose. It's the first purpose, which then leads you to the fulfillment of the other mitzvah, which is the end goal. Obviously, it's a good idea to look at your tzit. So I think you should look at your tzit when you put them on. And that's my minhag. Vata. He says, what about your minhag? He said, and you that you have the minhag that when you get to and you shall see it, so you look at it. Keep your minhag. Ki minhag yafei. It's beautiful. I like it. It's very nice. V'chibuvei mitzvah, which shows that you love the mitzvah. V'kach haya noheg Moriah Chasida Rav Rei Peretz HaKohen Zatzal. And my Rebbe did the same thing. Umashe hikshu. He said that which Rav Nitro Noigon got angry and said, Shemkein Yasu came to tefillin Yasev Yaseh. And he said that which Rav Nitro Noigon said, you should hold your tefillin. So what does the Rivash say? Great idea! Good idea. Right? Go ahead. Halachically, you are supposed to touch your tefillin on a regular basis. So you're thinking about them and the like. It's a Gemara in Shabbos, dude Beis. You're supposed to touch your tefillin every hour to remind yourself that you're wearing them, just like we learned from the tzitz. That matzit she'em bo elas karachat, and the tzitz of the Kohen Gadol has Hashem's name once. Amrat Torah v'hayal mitzchot tamid shel yisich da'ato mimenu. We say it should be on it. The pasuk says it should be on the Kohen Gadol's forehead, meaning he should pay attention. Tefillin sheish ben kama azkarot. The tefillin have many mentions of God's name. Halachat kama v'kama. Ukim kishemagil ukshartem mashmesh b'hem v'kol sheken shuman gafeh. V'arav Rabbeinu Yonah zal b'sefer hayira ken katav gam b'tefillin. And Rabbeinu Yonah, in fact, says it's what you should do by tefillin. Great idea. By tzitzis, do it. By tefillin, do it. And then what about the problem by mezuzah? Makter yasa came mezuzah. Ain't no inyan. Shem amru b'meshu lavush mizam lefanav lo amru mashu kavu b'kotel. That's ridiculous. The things that you're wearing, it's easy. The things you're not wearing is not easy. Right? Don't get too wrapped up in the lumdas here. It's very practical. It's easy if you do touch your tefillin and your tzitzis. Look at them. Great. So do it. Because clearly there's philosophical resonance to this. It helps you think about the reason for them, about the mitzvah. And he says, besides, by tzitzit, it may not be a formal mitzvah, but is it the purpose of the mitzvah? To see it, to remember? Of course it is. Mishum chibuvei mitzvah. Kol sheken shemafli lasot. Avo mezuzah ain't okay, but mezuzah, so there's no parallel value. V'lochein achod minagcha al taref al ogim alecha v'azeh lo yafeh me'mosim. So keep your minag, and not right. And the people are making fun of you; they're just wrong. So what do you have? You have the Smak who says Is it a mitzvah to look at your tzitzis? Yes. The Rivash says, is it a mitzvah? No. Is it the point, the philosophical reason? Yes. And therefore he says, it's not a mitzvah. Is it a good thing to do? Yes. Should you do it during davening? Why not? Sounds great to me. You're not chayav, right? You're not chayav. Is it nice? Definitely. It's the philosophy of the mitzvah. If you look at number 4, quoting from the Reb Chaim Vital, and don't feel bad that you didn't get it quite so much, this is a Kabbalistic work, quoting from Chaim Vital, who's the Talmud of the Arizal. So he quotes, V'yomer Kadosh Shulchan Aruch, Istakel Tzidvid B'shah Shomer Ritem Oto, right? This is Nifsak L'Halachan Shulchan Aruch, Chen Gad Arizal, Reb Chaim Vital, B'sivro Shar Kedusha, Choshev Zot Mitzvah L'Semen HaTorah. Reb Chaim Vital thinks it's a mitzvah, and that's why he thinks you should do it. V'chein Perish Rashi B'Menachot, and Rosh Hashanah Kol Shen Tzidvid Gdo, Ver B'Chamisha Aseh. And he argues that this is what Rashi means, because the Gemara on Mem Dalet Amud Aleph says that anyone who doesn't wear tzitzit violates 5 aseis, and Rashi mentions one of them, Ritem Oto Mitzvah Aseh. And therefore you should look at your tzitzit and have in mind to fulfill this mitzvah. And then there's very mystical, but classic mystical things. It says, as you look at them, you should accept in your heart to keep all the mitzvot, and with great joy. Right? He said, it's each line in Kriyat Shema. You should keep a mitzvah. When you get to you should think about avoiding araya, etc. So again, you have the Smak, possibly Rashi, Reb Chaim Vital, who say it's a formal mitzvah. On the other hand, you have the people who say it's not a mitzvah, but it's a good thing. And that's how we got to Kriyat Shema. I'll just point a few other people who say it's a mitzvah. So one, the Rashba seems to say this, right? So it is big names. And this was on Lamed Chet. In a passing line, he writes, in the context of Tchelet and Lavan, he says maybe Tchelet and Lavan are ma'akev each other. You know what it means they're not ma'akev each other? The mitzvah, they only have to look at one, but not both, which makes it sound like he thinks that Re'iyah is a separate mitzvah. Right, because he's entertaining the possibility that wearing tchilin and lavan are not ma'akev each other, but looking at them, other way around. That wearing them together is ma'akev, but looking at them is not, which means that looking at them is some halachic, independent halachic value. And his answer is just technical, which is, if you didn't have to wear both, you couldn't see both. Right, but that sounds like Riyah is a standalone mitzvah. Right? That's the only reason. The only reason is that if I'm not wearing it, I can't see it, and that's why they go hand in hand. But conceptually, they're distinct. So he also seems to think it's a mitzvah, so it might be Rashi, it might be the Rashba, it's definitely the Smak. The Svat Emet on Mem Daled comments that the Gemara calls tzitzit mitzvah kala. And he says, how could it be that tzitzit is a mitzvah kala? A light mitzvah. It reminds you of all the mitzvot. So he says, maybe wearing tzitzit is not a light mitzvah, but the mitzvah lehistakel b'tzitzit is a light mitzvah. So again, you have Rishonim, Achronim who assume that this is the case. On the other hand, you have those who think it's not a mitzvah by itself, but it is at least a valuable thing. And the Rivash says, and therefore this minhag to look at the tzitzit during Kriyat Shema, again, not a mitzvah, but definitely a good idea. It helps you think about the purpose of tzitzit, which is to remind you of mitzvah. Definitely a good idea. Lahalacha, this is recorded. Oh, sorry, that was later. Another possible proof is the following. Another possible expression of this is the following. The Ramah writes, Shulchan Aruch says, if a kid can put on tzitzit, that's the right age to be mechanechem in tzitzit. The Ramah writes, "V'dafka kishyodeh latov shnei tzitziyot lefanav u'shnayim lacharav, v'yodeh lechos hatzitzit b'yado b'shat kriyat shema." Ramah says the age is where he knows to put 2 in front, 2 in back, and he's old enough to hold the tzitzit during Kriyat Shema. So, now that's strange. Why is it that holding the tzitzit during Kriyat Shema is so fundamental to the mitzvah of tzitzit that that's the age at which, right, someone who's capable of doing that, that's the age at which we put tzitzit on. What does that sound like? The Ramah holds that this is an essential part of the mitzvah. Right? Because otherwise, why would that be the age at which you determine that a katan is ready to wear tzitzit? Or Moshe Feinstein notes this, but he doesn't like it. And he says, I think this is shocking to say that it's a separate mitzvah. And then he quotes the Ramah. And he says, the simple pshat, though, of this Ramah, based on the Mordechai, is that the Ramah also follows this view, that seeing it as a separate mitzvah, that's why it's essential enough to define the age at which someone should even wear tzitzit. Right? Because otherwise you shouldn't measure it by that. And then he says something surprising. So he says, here's my fundamental problem. My main reason why I don't like saying there's a mitzvah of re'iyah is that the pasuk of ritemoto is already used for other things halachically. Right? And normally you don't use a pasuk for more than one thing. What is it used for? Day clothes, night and day. So we already use it. So how can you use the pasuk to count it for 2 mitzvos? Or 2 halachot? So he says in the last paragraph,
Is it really like 2 separate mitzvot, or are you just sort of
good.
using it for...
Good. Yeah. That's exactly what he says. So he says, more lumdishly, he says, so there's a fascinating halachic principle in Menachot called Kol Hara'i Libila in Bila Me'akevet Bo V'Chol She'einu Ra'ui Libila Bila Me'akevet Bo. What does that mean? So a mincha is supposed to have 60 parts flour to a part oil. So the halacha and mix it. So what happens if you don't mix it? So the halacha is as follows: if it's the right ratios, so that if you would mix it, it would mix properly, then you don't have to mix it. But if the ratios are off and it wouldn't mix, so then you're not yotzei. Kol haroi libila. If it could be mixed in bila me'akevet bo, then you don't have to mix. Kol she'einu haroi libila. If it won't mix, bila me'akevet bo. So Ramosha says this very surprising thing, as you said, maybe according to the Smak and maybe the Ramri Rittenberg and maybe Rashi and Rajba and Zvad Emes and Ramah, that seeing is its own mitzvah or standalone halachic value. The reason that we can then derive that you don't wear tzitzit at night is because of bilam ma'akevet bo. Because once you say that seeing is actually essential to the mitzvah, then you would say, if it's a time at which I, in theory, could fulfill the ultimate value of tzitzit, meaning I could see it, then, so that's when I wear it. But if I can't see it, meaning I can't fulfill tzitzit to its ultimate, that's why I'm patur. And therefore these 2 limudim are related. It's dafka, the fact that looking at your tzitzit is so central to the halacha of tzitzis, that makes it that I know that in a time when I can't see it, that I'm not chayav. It's dafka, those are related. They're the same conceptual point. So that's the first point, right? Is that on the one hand, you have Rishonim and Achronim who say seeing is either an independent mitzvah or at least an active, independent halachic value within tzitzit. Nafkamina, do you count as a separate mitzvah? Possibly the Ramah. The age at which you're capable of looking at them during Kriyat Shema is when you determine that a katan is ready to wear tzitzit. On the other hand, you people say no. Seeing it is clearly the purpose of the mitzvah, but it's not a standalone value. Moving then to the minhag of Kriyat Shema. the Rivash tells you that whether you think it's a standalone mitzvah or you think it's just the purpose of the mitzvah, it's a nice minhag. Reb Nishranai Gaon didn't like it. The minhag ends up following the Rivash. Shulchan Aruch quotes the Rivash and says that this is a proper minhag. Holding your tzitzit, looking at your tzitzit, this is a proper minhag. There are other sources for it. If you look at number 9, this is a Midrash in Tehillim. Midrash Tehillim. So he says, "Kol atzmotai tomarna Hashem michamocha." The pasuk says that David says, "All my bones should praise God." So Amar lo Kadosh Baruch Hu, David Mata Oseli. So Hashem says, "David, what do you do for me?" Amar lo Ashavecha b'chol evarai. I praise you with all my limbs. Biroshi ani kofeh v'kodeh b'tfilati. How do I praise you with my head? I bow. Bitzavari, with my neck. Ani mekayem mitzvat atifat tzitzit. With my neck, I wrap the tzitzit. Be'enai, ani mekayem uritem oto. Bichazeh, with like my chest area. Simat tzitzit keneged alev kol zman shani korei kriyat Shema. I wrap myself in the tzitzit so it covers, right, my chest during Kriyat Shema. Shneimar vayud v'rmeila she'anochi mitzavcha yom alavavecha. Me'achorai milfanai yishlachti talit. In front of me and in back of me, I have my talit. Shnei kenafot la'achor, shnei kenafot lifnim. Yad small, my left hand. Uva ani ochez tzitziotai b'zman Kriyat Shema. I hold my tzitzis during Kriyat Shema. So the Midrash adds another level to it, which is that the way I have my tzitzit, again, is this a mitzvah in tzitzis? Not necessarily, but he's saying that during davening, especially during Kriyat Shema, you try to praise God with every part of your body. And that's why we look at the tzitzit, we hold the tzitzit, we wrap ourselves in the tzitzit. This is it's a kiyum in praising God, bichol atzmotai, with my entire body.
So then it wouldn't really be part of the mitzvah.
Correct. Right, so it might not be this is about tzitzit. It might be this is part of, right, I bow and I wear tzitzis, meaning I try to do mitzvah with every part of my body, and taken together, right, I am praising you in a holistic way. So that's another source for this notion that of why I would do it during davening. Now again, possibility one is that it's a kiyum in tzitzis. Justification two is that it's a kiyum in tefillah. Right, that's a kiyum in tefillah. But either way, it justifies the minhag. Now I will just point out, I won't read it inside, but this is obvious. Reb Nishranai Gaon had said, don't do it because it's arrogant, it's yuara. Right, you're presumptuous. So the Tzitzit Eliezer says, obviously, that's only true if the minhag is not to do it, because then you're doing something different than everybody else. But once the minhag becomes it, Reb Nishranai is not going to be able to say, oh, it's arrogant. You're doing it because everyone else does it. Meaning, again, if the argument is arrogance and presumptuous and standing out from everybody else, so that's relevant if no one else is doing it. If everyone is doing it, so that already falls away. Okay. Now, if you skip down to 12, I just want to show you historically how these positions play out. Because we've already seen some of the sources, but I just want to show you between Ashkenaz and Sfar and how this is quoted. So, for example, number 12 in the Shari Tshuva, it's quoting the Riyah Barcelona. The Riyah Barcelona. He was asked, is it a problem to hold your tzitzis, look at your tzitzis? Is that a hefsek in Kriyat Shema? Right, because now you're doing something else. You're supposed to, and he says, "He said that's not a hefsek. That's great. It's fine. Why do you care? You think that you'll be distracted?" He said, "Mapiton. This is the mitzvah, so it's not going to distract you. You can't be distracted from doing the mitzvah. If what you're doing is itself a kiyum, he said, now if indeed, you're the type of person that gets easily distracted, so you pull out your tzitzis and now suddenly you lost track of where you are in Kriyat Shema, he said, don't do it. But for most people, it adds to your concentration. So he says, great. So you see that this minhag is attested to. Riyah Barcelona is in Barcelona. So in Spain, the Rivash is writing in Morocco, in northern Africa. The Radbaz writing in Egypt and then Israel in 13 in the 15th century. Orani Omer ki afilu fi shida arav l'takeni yetzaret tzarich sheyeh lefanav shaharei sirsur halevim ha'inayim dechliv lo sirsur acher levachem acher einechem v'masur lo yirah tzitziot eich yichna halev. He says, I think it's important to have your tzitzit in front and your tzitzit in back. Why? Because the tzitzit are meant to influence what you see, to influence your heart. And if you can't see them, they won't help you. Hilkach mikolhani mashma ki b'shakriya shram yetzarach sheyikol tzitziot lefanav. And therefore he thinks you should have all your tzitzit in front of you during Shema. The Gra argues and thinks you should only be the front two because he thinks you should only have always have front and back. So now if you just So this midrash that we quoted from the Midrash Tehillim is the basis for the Radbaz's position. The Beit Yosef in 14 quotes from the Rikanti, because of Rabbi Menachem Rikant, B'sof Parshat Shlach, K'mishtistakel b'tzitzit, Amistakel b'tzitzit l'v shel fanav, shebehem asar ksharim ramez la'avayot hakal l'shono. The Rikanti says you should wrap the tzitzit b'dafka, the ones in front of you. B'ani shamati od shekol od shemet tzitziot yesh bo chamisha ksharim shmona chutim k'min nechag shemer shetziot l'fanav l'stakal b'hem olim chav etc. And he gives a Kabbalistic one. So now if you just look at the halacha in 15, right, in Shulchan Aruch, I gave you the whole siman very quickly, right? He says, Sif Aleph, im ein adam lo veish talish bar arba kanfot eno chayav b'tzitzit. If you don't wear a 4-corn garment, you're not obligated. But v'tov v'nachon li'kol adam zahir l'levosh talit katan kol hayom kedei she'yizkor ha-mitzvah b'chol regal. But the right thing to do is to wear a talit katan, to remember the mitzvah. V'al ken yesh bo chamisha ksharim keneged chamisha chumshu tirah, and that's why he has 5 knots for the 5 chumashim, v'arba knafim, and 4 tzitziot shebechol tzad shifnei yiskor. So no matter where you turn, you'll remember it. V'nachon l'lovsho al hamalbushim, and this is what we'll come back to. And the right thing to do is to wear it outside. L'fachot yizar she'lovash tzitzit b'shad tefillah, and make sure you wear tzitzit during davening. Sifbeh mitzvah le'achos tzitzit b'yad smalit keneged libo b'shad kriyat Shema. The mitzvah is to hold it in your left hand in front of your heart during Shema. Remez l'davar b'hayu dvar me'ila al levavecha. Gimel tov listakel b'tzitzit b'shad atifak shmevarech. It's good to look at your tzitzit when you put them on and you're wrapping. Sif daled yesh noagin listakel b'tzitzit k'shmagim l'ritemoto. Some have the custom to look at the tzitzit when you get to ritemoto, v'liteinotam aleinayim, and put them by the eyes. Uminag yafei v'chibuvei mitzvah. It's a nice minhag. It makes you love the mitzvah. The Ramah says gam noagim tzad l'nashik atzit v'shasharotem v'kol chibuv mitzvah. And some have the minhag to kiss it. Others say don't kiss it because it's a hefsek. But okay. Sifhei u'kimishem estakel b'tzitzit mistakel b'shnei tzitziot shel fanav sheish b'hem es asara ksharim remez la'havayot. And when you look at the ones, think about the 10 knots, right? 5 and 5, which remind you of the Shem Hashem. The 10 mention the Shem Hashem. V'gam yesh b'hem ted zayin chutim v'asara ksharim. And there are 16 strings and 10 knots, so that's the gematria of Shem Havaya of 26. And gadol onish mevatal tzitzit. I love ne'amar le'echos b'kanfot. Haaretz, hizar b'mitzvah tzitzit, zocher ro'eh b'nei shechina. So what do we see lahalacha? Is there a mitzvah to look at your tzitzit? Machlokes. Is it valuable? Yes. Are you obligated to look at it during Kriyat Shema? No. Why do we look at it during Kriyat Shema? Either it's an actual mitzvah, or at least it's valuable because it's the philosophy of tzitzit, and according to the Midrash Tehillim, in addition to being a kiyum in tzitzit, what is it? A kiyum in tefillah. Right? Of praising God with every part of your body. So I look at the tzitzit, I hold them in my hand, I wrap myself in it. So again, am I saying you're chayiv to do it? No. But if you wanted to know where the minhag came from, that it says in your siddur, put it in your left hand, hold it. It comes from this combination of a kiyum in the mitzvah of tzitzis and a kiyum in the mitzvah of praising God with your whole body during tefillah. And then I just gave you the summary in the Piskei Teshuvot in 16, where he says, "V'dashal da kama rishonim mekayim mitzvah zeish b'chol pam shemistakel al tzitzit mechavein et kavanat mitzvah." Know that according to many rishonim, every time you look at the tzitzit, you get a mitzvah. If you pay attention, shehu lizkor Hashem baruch hu mitzvotav zechiram l'dei maaseh uma the kohen hagu gdolei v'tzadikei hadorot l'stakel b'tzitzit b'chol hizdamnut. And because of this, there were some people who gedolim who had the minute to look at their tzitzit whenever they got a chance. Uskula niflai l'zchot lirat shamayim. And he says, look, I don't know if it's a mitzvah, but at least it's a skula. You'll remember the mitzvah. That's the point. You'll give your shir shamayim, right? This is not like some Hasidic skula. He's saying the Gemara, the pasuk. The pasuk tells you it's a skula to remembering mitzvah, right? So it is, right? You want a real skula. Look at your tzitzit and remember the mitzvah. You'll have your shamayim. And then he adds parnasa tov l'ful zicharon tov. Sure, you'll get all the brachot, right? Parnasa, blah blah blah. Luden, exactly. Den echona mitibachol davarnyam skolatam linatzal mechet v'herhure znut linatzal mikas mein abisha. You won't be angry. You won't have ayin hara. This I have no idea whether this is true, but if you like this type of stuff, so great. Okay, that's part one. Now let's move to part two. Okay, this source sheet I was nice because Rabbi Yeshua Grunstein is a much nicer person than I am. And he when he makes source sheets, he makes them with these nice little charts and stuff. You going?
I think
nice little charts. The second question that I think we have to ask is, okay, the Shulchan Aruch says that part of this whole conglomerate of values of a mitzvah / a value, because the purpose of tzitzit is to see it and remember the mitzvot, that leads us to what? What does the Shulchan Aruch say, Daniel? That you should wear your tzitzis where? In or out?
Out.
Shulchan Aruch says out. Why? So it makes sense if you think that the mitzvah is to look at them, or even if it's not a mitzvah. The point of tzitzit is to remind you, so it makes sense that there's an independent standing value of looking at them, which means that the purpose of tzitzit is accomplished only if they're being worn out. And that's what Shulchan Aruch says. So why is there such a big machlokas about this? Right? Because as you know, there are some people who... So there are basically three positions in the Jewish world. What are they? Out. In or...
Out beged.
Out, right, meaning two outs. Out with the beged.
And then
out with the strings, right? Meaning whole beged on top, chasidish, right? Tzitzis out, like this, right? Or in. So, what's the svara for having your strings out, dafka?
Because that's the reminder.
Correct. Either you think it's a separate mitzvah like the smock, or you think even if it's not a separate mitzvah, the point of tzitzit is to remind you of the mitzvah. And how does that happen if you don't see them? So the logic for that is pretty simple. What would be now let's explain the other two positions. What would be the logic for having the beged out?
Well, that's part of the mitzvah.
So if you think the beged is part of the mitzvah, which is very questionable, right?
Right.
So then you'd say maybe the beged should be out because it's part of the mitzvah. That's very, very questionable. Okay? Obviously, because remember, traditionally, right, in ancient world, tzitzit were on whatever beged you have to be wearing, which is four corners. It wasn't a separate beged. So, but you would have to argue. Now, what about putting it in? How would you defend wearing it in? The tzitzis, even the tzitzis in.
Resource was already been cleaned as a spark for something else.
Correct. You'll say ritemoto is a right. Don't overread this. Ritemoto. Right. Don't be such a pashtan. Ritemoto is what the Gemara says it is, which is so yom ksud laila. The Gemara says that the point of the mitzvah asserts, just like the psukim, that you should see the tzitzit and remember the mitzvah. Okay, but we don't blur the line between philosophy and halacha. You're supposed to remember the mitzvah if you happen to see it once in a while, see it when you daven, when you put them on, that's enough to remind it, but don't tell me any constant reminder. You're blurring philosophy and halacha here, right? You're supposed to look at them once or whatever. Right? That would be basically the three possibilities. The Rivash says that you should look at it when you make the bracha. Shulchan Aruch says when you wrap it. But what about in general? So what Ray Grunstein basically did was he took a tshuva by Rav Ovadia Yosef in Chelek Beis Aleph of Yechabad Dat, and he divided the two positions. Okay? And this is what he has. Okay? On the right hand side, you get the people who are strongly in favor of wearing it out. So he quotes the Rabbi Yitzchak ben Maran Halevi. So look at the right-hand side. And these are the quotes. Shehishiv she'elo mechasim atalit taler hamakdorin einam mekaymin mitzvah tzitzit kilcheta. If you wear your tzitzit under your beged, you are not fulfilling the mitzvah properly. Period. End of story. Because it says, wear them on your clothes. Should be on your clothes. Now he seems to say this even about the beged itself. Okay? Look on the left-hand side. Those who are against. Bala Itter. Katav lachlok al zeh, his beer, she'ein shum raya la zeh me'akatuv, shneimar al rabba konfut kashrut-kosher techasava. Why not? Because of what Yosef said, which is, Sharekar darshu chazal, l'droshot acharot. Don't tell me you have to wear it, right? Don't get all philosophical on me. We use the drush for other things. Af, mashanemer, parshat siri temoto. It doesn't mean you have to see it all the time. V'gam lo al beged atalit atzmo, lo rak al tzitziyot, shebishash lo v'esh atalit, v'tadev, or tzitzit yeshno b'riyat lo, v'yizal achirim. Right? It has to be that it's the type of thing that you could see and other people could see, daytime, etc. Riyam al yate v'yotze b'yidecho v'ramitva kilchata. Rabbeinu Yonah. V'yigelo talit katam yoshena b'tachat l'madav, sh'ikar mitzvah tzitzit l'ilov sho tamid. Rabbeinu Yonah says the ikra mitzvah is to wear tzitzit all the time. Kil zikaron mitzvah nitna, l'man lo yetach ha'ishirot libo mareina, v'zelim takim b'lechto baderech. So what does it sound like? According to Rabbeinu Yonah, how are you reminded? By seeing it or by wearing it? Right, so don't worry about it. See it once in a while, perceive it, right? If you want to read it as perceive, you don't have to visually see it, you are aware of the fact you're wearing tzitzit. Mordechai writes, Lovshimoto tachad malbushehem. And the Maharam Rutenberg Dafka said that he would wear the talit gadol so that it would be seen, and the talit katan shalonir me'olam, that it was always hidden. So you have all the positions. So now look at the halacha on the bottom of the page. Shulchan Aruch says, mitzvah tilit katan l'lovosho al begadav kadesh tamid yirei v'yizkor mitzvot. He says you should wear. What does he say? You should wear it out. Shulchan Aruch says out. Right, wear it out.
Is this for both or just one?
So it's not clear, right? But it sounds like the whole beged. Right? The simplest read is the whole beged. There's something Acharonim will argue, but definitely one of those out. And Chavdali says, "Meinan lovesh talit katan sharabakavon chayav tzitzit mikol makom." Tov v'nachon shekodam yizahir lovsho talit katan kol hayom yizor mitzvah b'chol rega v'nachon lovsho amal bushim. Now he's a little bit softer in Chavdalid because in Siman Chet, what does he say? The mitzvah is to wear it out. What does he say in Chavdalid? It's the right thing, right? So that sounds like a difference, right? If you think that it's a formal mitzvah to see it, you have to wear it out. If you think that's just the philosophy of the mitzvah, so maybe you'd say it's the right thing to do, but you don't have to. Now, who says you should dafka have it under? So the Arizal is quoted by many of the Achronim. The talit katan dafka tachat begadav, that is supposed to be dafka under your clothes because of certain Kabbalistic reasons that you don't have to put it out, and therefore there are Kabbalistic reasons that dafka should be hidden. What they are, don't ask me. I was reading today in the Tshuva of Binyamin Zilber. He says, so what is this Kabbalistic reason that you should dafka hide your tzitzis? Right? Meaning, really now there are four positions. I should wear the beged outside, I should wear the tzitzis outside, I don't need to wear them outside, or I shouldn't wear them outside. So I understand tzitzis out. Either it's a formal mitzvah, or it's the right thing to do. Okay, so I should or I need to. Fine. We've explained those. I dafka, even the beged outside is a little bit weird, but maybe you think that's part of the mitzvah, or at least the talit katan, which I only wear l'shem mitzvah, is part of the mitzvah, maybe. Then I dafka should wear it hidden, so that the only justification anyone has is Kabbalistic. So Binyamin Zilber says, what is this Kabbalistic reason? He says, I don't know. right? I have no clue. I don't know Kabbalah, right? So what does he say? But the Tzitz Eliezer knew Kabbalah, and I looked at the Tzitz Eliezer, and what did the Tzitz Eliezer say? That it's a misquote. The Arizal never said it. I don't believe this ever happened, right? So he said, and therefore it's narishkeit, right? Don't do it. Right? I mean, do it. Wear them out. Don't listen to this svara. They should dafka hide them. Now, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef is in a bit of a bind. Why is he in a bind? Because
we just got people disagreeing with the Kabbalistic belief.
What?
The only belief we have being in is a Kabbalistic one, as in
and the Shulchan Aruch says it should be out.
Right.
And he always postins like Machaber.
Mechaber means
the Shulchan Aruch, but he doesn't want to because the minhag Sfaradim was to not wear it out. How could you do that? It's against Shulchan Aruch.
Dangerous purposes is why we're doing it.
So 1 second. So now the first half of the page seemed to me about the beged, but it's not totally clear. But the second half of the page is clearly about the strings, right? Again, justifying the beged is a bit. So look at the second side of the page. So here you have. So look at the Levush. So look at these. The Levush says, "Kevin shetamat tzitzidu kedeshin iskor kol mitzvot lefichach odam lovshin dalakadach migdehem yizaru shelo shodam oven shira tzitzitam itch adereitan iskor mitzvot." The Levush makes it very clear. What does he think the halacha is? Where the beged inside and the tzitzit out. I mean, there's no reason to wear the beged out. The beged has no value, right? It's very hard to justify we need that out, but that may be what the Beis Yosef means. Right? But the Levush says when it comes to the strings should be out. Magen Avram nearly did sarach tzitzit me'achut. Logodam shetoch v'notam b'knafo. The Magen Avram says, have your strings out, not like those who hide their strings. And the Mishnah Berurah goes even farther. And look at this very, very harsh Mishnah Berurah. He says, "V'otana anashim ha'mesimim ha'tzitzit b'mechnasayim shelahem." Those people who wear their tzitzit strings inside. Lo dai shema'alim eneim imaytech tevritem chartem. Right? Not only are you hiding yourself from the mitzvah of looking at them, od mivazin hain et mitzvah Hashem mitbarach. They are degrading the mitzvah of God. V'atidin hain litein adin al zeh, and they will eventually have to face judgment and shamayim on this. And that which they say, well, we hang out amongst non-Jews. It's weird to wear tzitzis out. He said, so for that you could, not wear it like hanging down, right? Like put it at the corner, not like wild. But he said, if you had a present from a king, with God's name, with the king's name on it, you would wear it proudly. You have the tzitzit, which hints to God's name. Siman Chavdalad Kama Mitkabeira Adam Anosei Shmo Alav Amru Chazal. He's Hazir b'mitzvah tzitzit zocher Zahir b'mitzvah tzitzit zocher b'nei Shechina. Umashma min haktuvim dihodim sheishru leikates yom mitzuyanim mitzvah zo. And some of the midrashim talking about the fact that the Jews who make it to Tchias HaMesim will be wearing their tzitzis, etc. And there are all these midrashim that you'll have servants from every nation in the world on every side of your tzitzit, right? So 10 from every one of the 70 nations, times 4, so you'll have 2,800 servants if you desire in this. So the Mishnah Berurah, so side 1 of the page, the beged. So again, the mashmod of the beged, Shulchan Aruch sounds like even the beged may be outside, right? Maybe. Magen Avram quotes the Arizal that you should hide it. Again, that may be the beged, it may be the strings, right? Unclear, right? The whole beged thing is very unclear here. But when it comes to strings, the Mishnah Berurah, Levush, Magen Avram, no two ways about it. The strings should be out. The Shalah says, Shalah says, I wear the beged underneath my clothes. But the strings, the front two strings I at least keep out. And then Magen Avram says, the he does defend it, and he says, the Magen Avram defends the position and says that if you're going amongst goyim, so fine, then you can hide them normally and just have them out during the bracha. So what do you have here, la halacha? So let's start with the strings, right? So when it comes to the strings, should you wear them out? What would the svar pshuta be?
Yes.
Yes. Either because it's a formal mitzvah, and even if it's not a formal mitzvah, everybody agrees that that's the point of the mitzvah, it's supposed to remind you. So therefore, the Lavush, Magen Avram, Mishnah Berurah think, wear them out, wear them out, wear them out, wear them out. Right? Shalos, maybe the front strings should be out, maybe not all of them. You should wear them out. Magen Avram says even if you should wear them out, if you're amongst goyim and it's a problem, so maybe you don't have to. What does the Mishnah Berurah say?
That's a danger.
Right? What does the Mishnah Berurah say? Too bad. Right? Mapito. Right? Wear it with pride. Be proud that you're wearing the sign of God.
I'm gonna if it's already a suffix there. If it's already a suffix there and there's a danger involved.
So there's danger, fine, but that's not usually danger, mapito.
No, but you're amongst. Go ahead.
Do you wear a kippah? What? I don't understand.
Oh, I thought you implied that there was a danger.
No, I mean Lamaisa now. If there's an actual danger, fine, but I'm saying Lamaisa.
Yeah, I wear mine.
I tell my parents always when we leave our community.
But now what about the beged? So what about the beged? So again, the beged, it's a bit of unclarity, right? The Shulchan Aruch says where tzitzis out. Does he mean the tzitzis or does he mean the beged? Not 100% clear. It sounds like the beged, but it's hard to understand why that would be true conceptually unless he thinks that's chelik ma mitzvah, at least the talis katum, which only wear l'shem mitzvah. Mm-hmm. The Arizal, who says you should dafka hide your tzitzis, again, first of all,
the beged.
So again, it could mean he just means the beged, right? In which case, that's fine. I don't know what that means, but fine, right? Some understand him to say no, and most understand him to mean this, so not everybody, right? That he holds you should dafka hide the strings. Now again, you can. Why would you say that? So again, the only reason would be some sort of Kabbalistic reason, because why should you do it? It's easy to say you don't have to, right? Meaning, we really have four possibilities. You must have your tzitzis out because there's a separate mitzvah. It's the right thing to do because it's the philosophy of the mitzvah. You don't have to do it because Ri'item Oto means that you should wear it during the day and not at night. And it's enough that you see it when you make the bracha and you perceive them, but on a regular basis you don't need to. All those three make sense, right? You must, you should, you don't have to, neutral. The weird one, which I can only justify Kabbalistically, is you should not, barring the case where it's dangerous, fine. Okay? The beged, should I wear it out? So, pashtus, there's absolutely no reason to wear the beged out. It could be that you think dafka the beged should be out, if that might be what Shulchan Aruch means. If you think that is, what's it called? That's part of the mitzvah, at least with the talis katan. Or you could say that dafka should be in. Maybe that's Kabbalistic. Who knows, right? Beigach to beigach, who knows? But you see where this comes from and why people think you should wear it out. And it emerges from, as we said, this emphasis on the Basel mitzvah, or at least value of seeing your tzitzit. So lehalacha, what do you say? Now, Mari Bruna said that it's arrogant in a time when people don't do it. Now, that's not necessarily the case nowadays, right? Obviously. And he was really talking about wearing tzitzit at all. So what would you say lahalacha? So, as it plays out, Shulchan Aruch says you should have your tzitzis out, which may mean even the beged, or at least the strings. In one place, it sounds like a chiyuv. In one place, it's just the right thing to do. So, and the Ashkenazi poskim say, you should do it, you should do it, you should do it. So you would have thought that the conclusion should be, you should do it, right? You should wear at least the strings out, right? And that's the pashtos. The beged, a little bit weird, okay? And indeed, Ashkenazi poskim, many of them are very insistent about this, right? Not all of them. Many of them really do follow the Mishnah Berurah. So Binyamin Zilber is very convinced of the Mishnah Berurah, and he says that's what you should do. That's what you should do, right? If you look at the Pineinei Halacha quotes from Tzvi Cook, who says that in Merkaz Harav he told Ashkenazim and Sephardim, wear your tzitzis out. It's the simple read of Shulchan Aruch. It's the simple read of many of the Ashkenazi poskim. It's the right thing to do. Is it a chiyuv? We can debate whether it's a chiyuv. Is it the right thing to do? There are many, many sources that point in the direction that it should. Rabbi Ovadia wants to defend the Sephardi practice, which for him is very hard because normally his rule is possible like Shulchan Aruch, and Shulchan Aruch at the very least means that it's the right thing to do, if not a chiyuv, to have your tzitzis, by which he means either the strings or maybe even the beged out. So how does he defend it? So he basically builds up the case that there's no obligation to do it, right? Based on the Itter, Ben Yonah, the Mordechai, who all say, no, it's enough that you look at it in the bracha, it's enough that you know that it's on, and then he adds to that the Kabbalah of the Arizal and says, you dafka shouldn't wear it out. And he understands it like those who interpret the Arizal, that you should wear even the tzitzis hidden, and not just the beged. So in the end, he says, the Ashkenazim are all wrong, but if they want to do it, so let the Ashkenazim do what they want, but Sephardim shouldn't wear it out. Again, as Tzvi Yehuda apparently pointed out, that's very hard to say as like a blanket principle that Sephardim shouldn't do it when the Ashkenazi Achronim are in favor and the Shulchan Aruch is in favor.
Which one was it that wrote it in Morocco? Wasn't it?
What?
Which was the posting you mentioned that wrote it in Morocco? You mentioned what it on.
Oh, that was the Rivash, like 700 years ago.
Yeah. Oh.
There's not recent.
No, because it wouldn't make a difference.
And he says you should dafka look at your tzitzis, right? He's not talking about wearing it in general. People who say you don't have to, right? So besides the Ravadia, so there's the Kabbalistic reason, and then there are the people who just say, you will hear some people say, guys, you will hear some people say, look, you don't have to wear it out. Right? They buy the argument that you don't have to wear it out, and then they'll say, if not everybody does it, and you do it, so then maybe it's yuhara, maybe it's arrogant. I find this a bit not compelling. Meaning, if it was only a few people who wore their tzitzis out, so maybe you could argue it's yuhara. But when so many people wear it out, it's very hard to argue that it's like an arrogant thing to do. It's totally normal. I'm not saying you have to. Right? If you wanted to defend the position, you don't have to. You have all these Rishonim who say you don't have to. And your Ravad who says, yeah, we should follow this understanding of the Arizal and dafka not do it. So is it crazy to say you should dafka wear it in? No. Is there a lot of evidence in the poskim who say, either as a formal mitzvah variyah, or because clearly tzitzis are very philosophically oriented, and the philosophy of tzitzis that you should wear it so that you remind you of the mitzvahs, and wearing it out makes it easier? Does that mean that there's definitely a lot to support wearing it out? Yeah. Would I draw from halachic conclusion and say you have to? No. Very few people say you have to, right? But it's one of those things where I would say if people feel like they're wearing tzitzis out and it helps them remind them of the mitzvah, I would say you have a tremendous amount of support to say that that's the mitzvah, that's the philosophy, if people wear it in. So Rav Malamud Dafka says, he says yes. The simple pshat of Ashkenazi Sephardi halacha hashkafa is that it's a mitzvah, or at least valuable, or it makes sense to wear your tzitzis out, and that's why many people endorse it. He said, someone specifically asked Tzvi Yehuda and says, I get what you're saying, except my minhag of my family is dafka not to wear it out. So then Tzvi Yehuda said, okay, so don't do it, right? So don't do it, right? So then don't do it. And from here, this Rosh Hashiva said that that's what he teaches his own Talmidim, not to do it. Okay? So what would I say? I'm not going to draw from a conclusion. I don't usually paskin for you. I don't usually draw halachic conclusions for you, but I at least understand the two sides and understand the halacha hashkafa, seeing it, and so both the general question of wearing tzitzis out, the beged, and the Hasidic minhag is to wear the beged out also, right? That's where the Hasidic minhag comes from, is the simple read of Shulchan Aruch, right? That there's some value to the beged also being out. The minhag of many Ashkenazim is where the tzitzis out is Magen Avraham, Mishnah Berurah. And the Kabbalistic interpretation, which some people follow, is like Rav Ovadia following that understanding of Arizal. And then again, there are the people who follow the Magen Avraham over the Mishnah Berurah, right? Where the Magen Avraham says if you're walking amongst non-Jews and it's people are going to make fun of you, so maybe you shouldn't wear it. right? You shouldn't wear it out. Mishnah Berurah didn't like this. So some people will say, wear it with pride. Other people will say, well, if you really do function in society where people are going to look at it weird,
then you don't need to.
So then follow Magen Avraham. Now, to be fair, right, for most of my life I've worn them out because, there is enough evidence that it's valuable, and to be fair, I've been in chinuch my entire life, right? No one looks at you weird when you wear tzitzit. Like, no one looks at you weird when you wear your tzitzits out when you're in chinuch, right?
Israel, of course, it's fine.
First of all, in Israel. Second of all, I'm in chinuch, right? No one looks at you weird when you're in chinuch when you wear your tzitzits out. It just doesn't happen, right? That's not the profession where people are like, they just don't. If you're in the business world and you really think that people will look at you weird, okay, so there's plenty to rely on. It's fine. Right? If you're Sephardim, you feel very firmly like Rav Ovadia, so don't wear it out. Rav Ovadia says Sephardim shouldn't wear it out. Okay. If you're Sephardim, you feel like you should wear it out, you have the Shulchan Aruch to rely on, right? But I at least just want you to understand where it comes from and to understand all the minhagim during davening. And now again, the minhagim during davening, are they halacha? No, it's very clear. Everyone says it's chibur mitzvah, it's nice. So you'll see, some people will say, have all four. Some people will say only the front two, like the Gra, because the Rivash says all four. The Gra says only two. Only have two out. Why? Because you should keep the front ones in front and the back ones in back. They're meant to have an order, and therefore only do the two. Some people will say just look at it. Some will say kiss it. The Ramah says kiss it. Why? It's about chibur mitzvah. The Gra doesn't like kissing it. Why? Because it might be a hefsek. Whatever minhag you do, there's support for it, but at least you understand these are real halachic values that we're talking about, and they have real, right? They make sense, right? Of all things, as we've talked about a lot with tzitzis, the philosophy of the mitzvah permeates the actual implementation of halacha so much in tzitzis that at least it makes sense, right? No one's saying, very few people are saying this is a formal halacha, it's a mitzvah like the smak. But everyone understands why dafka here, there is such a value. So at least we've set out the range of positions to understand it. Again, I'm not going to paskin for you, but at least you understand the range of what people do, both in the minhagim of Kriya Shema and in terms of wearing tzitzis in, out, the beged in and out, etc.